Hey everybody, this is Bob Kovacs here at Wirefly with part one of a two-part review of the new Motorola DROID RAZR for Verizon Wireless. DROID RAZR is a very impressive phone, and I'm going to want to cover a lot of different things, and hopefully I'll try to keep the reviews a little short so you're not spending 20 minutes watching a single review. So this is the new Motorola DROID RAZR. It will actually launch tomorrow. It is a 4G phone. It uses Verizon's 4G LTE network. Now, Motorola for a while was promoting its Moto Blur user interface. I don't hear anything about Moto Blur anymore, so I don't really see any traces of Moto Blur here on the DROID RAZR. There may still be some aspects of it that exist on this phone, but I'm just not aware of it. What I plan to do in part one of this review is give a quick rundown of the features. We'll look around the phone a little bit, and we'll do some benchmark tests and maybe one or two other things. I'm going to save the more in-depth applications part of the review for part two of the review of the Motorola DROID RAZR. So let's get started. First of all, this is a 4.3-inch diagonal Super AMOLED display, and it's actually a gorgeous display. This may be the first Super AMOLED display to have a resolution of 540 by 960. That's known as QHD, which stands for quarter of HD. In other words, it's 1/4 of an HD display. So it is a beautiful display. Lots of punch and snap, deep blacks where you expect there to be blacks, bright whites where you expect there to be white, and the colors really pop off the display. Now, I'm looking at a monitor here in the studio as I'm recording this, and the monitor doesn't nearly have the snap that I'm getting directly from the screen. So I don't think you're going to get it through the camera here and on YouTube, but directly from the screen, it's absolutely beautiful. Now, as I said, it's a 4.3-inch display. Here's a 4.5-inch display from the Galaxy S2. This is the Sprint version, the Epic 4G Touch. And the Epic 4G Touch has got that same Super AMOLED snap, but it is 480 by 800, and it doesn't have ultimately the resolution that the Motorola DROID RAZR has. Now, just to make you guys drool completely, this is the new HTC Resound for Verizon. This is also a 4.3-inch screen, but it's 720 by 1280 pixels. It's a true HD display. I gotta tell you that the resolution on the Resound is just outstanding. I'm a video guy by training, by career, and I absolutely am in love with the resolution, the image quality that I'm getting on the LCD display on the Resound with its 720 by 1280 display. Now, that said, there is this really a very, very attractive display here on the Motorola DROID RAZR. Now, of course, the RAZR is super slim and lightweight. Take a look at how slim it is. There is a bulge at the end where the camera is. It's an 8-megapixel still image camera, and it can do 1080p HD video. There's also a front camera. I believe that's a 2-megapixel front camera. But just look at how slim that is. Now, up until now, the Galaxy S2 has been the slim leader. I'm going to put the slim end to the slim end here. And you can see that the DROID RAZR here on the left is considerably slimmer than the Samsung Galaxy S2. And I got to tell you, the Samsung Galaxy S2 has impressed me with its overall slim character, low weight, and the DROID RAZR is really much better in that regard. It's slimmer and lighter than the Galaxy S2 phone is. Of course, you saw that the DROID RAZR bulged out at the one end. That's where the speaker is, and of course the camera as well. But overall, this is a very slim and lightweight phone. Fits in my pocket beautifully. Now compare it to the Resound, and the Resound is a much more traditional form factor, if you will. It's thicker and bulkier. Not that the Resound is unusually bulky. I don't think that it is. I think that it actually somehow feels a little lighter weight than, say, the HTC Evo 3D for Sprint, but still the Resound is way bulkier and heavier feeling than the Motorola DROID RAZR is. Okay, so the Motorola DROID RAZR has got a sealed back. The battery is a permanent battery. It's not replaceable. And that means that to get at things like the SIM card and the micro SD memory chip, you have to go under this little hatch on the side of the phone. That's the micro SD memory. It comes from the out of the box with a 16 gig micro SD card, and it also takes a SIM. Now, a SIM is required for Verizon's LTE service. This SIM is not compatible with SIMs for GSM phones such as AT&T and T-Mobile. You cannot take an AT&T or T-Mobile SIM or any other GSM SIM, put it in here, and expect the phone to work. It will not work. It requires a LTE SIM that is specific to Verizon. Now, the DROID RAZR takes a micro LTE SIM. It doesn't take the normal sized SIM. So if you already have an LTE phone with a SIM in it and it's activated and it's the normal size LTE SIM, you can't pop that out, stick it in the RAZR, and have the RAZR activated. It just won't work because it's a different size. However, in general, with Verizon, if you have an activated SIM, you can swap it from one device to the other and activate that device simply by putting in the new SIM. Verizon may not necessarily want you to know that, but that's how it works. Now, this is not activated. You can see that I'm on the local Wi-Fi. It's not activated. It's a long story because we don't want to activate a micro SIM just yet because there's not very many phones that use them. The only other phone right now that uses a micro SIM is the Samsung Stratosphere for Verizon. So, okay, the next thing I'm going to do is run a couple of benchmark tests. First, I'm going to run a quadrant, and we'll get the quadrant score, and I will stop the camera and come back when the test is about ready to wrap up. This is the last of the visual tests that are part of the quadrant tests. And here you go. The quadrant score is 2,383. That's 2383. Pretty good score. Now, the Galaxy S2 phones get higher scores, but I think that the processor in the Galaxy S2 phones, they run apps differently than the processor that's being used here in the Motorola DROID RAZR. So I'm not sure that the higher scores in the Galaxy S2 phones are necessarily indicative of faster speed. I think it's just simply the way that the processor runs the apps. Now I'm going to go ahead and run SmartBench, and we'll see what the SmartBench score is. And just like I did with Quadrant, I am going to turn off the camera and we'll come back to SmartBench when it's ready to wrap up. This is the last of the tests in SmartBench, and now it's going to ask if I want to submit the results. Here we go. Of course I want to display the scores. And here we go. Now there's two scores that display with SmartBench. The green bar here represents the productivity index, and the red bar is the games index. For productivity, the Motorola DROID RAZR got 3,713, 3713, and for games, it got 2,847, 2847. Those are really excellent scores. Okay, let's go back. I want to talk just a little bit more about the DROID RAZR's case. It's got an aluminum frame with Kevlar here inserted on the back, so it's very lightweight, very strong, and again, very slim. Now, there's not a lot of controls around the perimeter. You've got a volume up-down rocker here. This is the on-off switch, which of course you also use to put the phone to sleep. On top, there's the standard 3.5 millimeter audio jack. Now, it has a micro USB port as well as a micro HDMI port. And of course, there's a web top accessory that's optional. You can plug the phone into it, and now you can use it like a laptop computer and surf the web and so forth on a larger display with a regular size keyboard. And of course, I mentioned the hatch on the side for the two cards. And pretty much that is it. So this is the end of part one review of the Motorola DROID RAZR. Part 2 will be coming up soon. And of course, if you want to buy the DROID RAZR, Wirefly is going to have the best prices around because we are the #1, the largest retailer of cell phones online in the US. So if you're looking for the DROID RAZR or any other phone, we'd really be honored if you'd come and look at Wirefly. So I'm Bob Kovacs here at Wirefly. Thanks for watching.